They look to the sky to trace your every step. Yes, chosen one. Not only those around you, but even satellites in space have stepped in to understand who you are. The eyes in the sky did not sleep at night. They followed your every move, every change, every ascension from miles above. They thought you were an ordinary human being, but your frequency is so high that your presence is recognized even from the heavens. Now everyone should know this. They cannot follow someone who does not follow ordinary paths with ordinary methods. Your destiny does not fit on their radar. While they think they are following you, they are actually reading the signs of your destiny. Write 999 in the comments, because in this age, truth and power resonate beyond the heavens. You have reached a crossroads where invisible hands have shifted the outcome in your favor. As storms gathered against you, 3 events unfolded that broke the spell of oppression for good. First, the person who worked against you most relentlessly slipped and left behind evidence of their own undoing, practically handing you the tools to overturn every injustice. Second, a silent supporter, once hidden, finally revealed what everyone needed to see, placing the last piece in a puzzle that locks in a final verdict. Third, the most loyal defender on their side could no longer bear witness to wrongdoing and is now actively unraveling everything they built. These turning points aren't just lucky breaks. They're the universe swinging the door wide open for the truth to flood in and wash out decades of darkness. While your adversary celebrated, convinced that your story would stay forever buried, a web of investigations quietly grew stronger with every passing day. In the background, expert teams dissected money trails and unmasked criminal activities, while journalists followed a scent leading to long-forgotten secrets. At the very place they felt most secure, colleagues pieced together the record of abuses, and higher authorities took a close look at the bribes and backroom dealings. Even a once loyal legal advisor, working from within, amassed documentation that could bring the entire empire crashing down. Meanwhile, technology they thought was under control continued to record. Old devices synced data they'd lost track of, and individuals they tried to erase began talking to those in power. While you rebuilt yourself and stepped into your strength, they piled up the evidence that would become their own undoing. What truly defies expectation is that the force about to dismantle their structure comes from a place they never suspected, one of their closest allies. This individual, having witnessed one transgression too many, shifted allegiance after watching the person they care about harmed by the very darkness they once protected. Years of quiet preparation and caution were never out of malice, but out of the wisdom that evil always circles back to harm even its own. The proof collected: financial ledgers, candid recordings, secretive videos, messages that leave no doubt, will leave no stone unturned. The belief that you were alone in your ordeal was a myth. There are a legion of others whose lives were also shattered, many of whom have risen higher than you could have imagined. Among them are public figures, officials, and powerful business leaders, all holding similar scars from the same hand. This wasn't just about one battle or one relationship. An entire community of survivors, some with great influence, are discovering one another at the perfect time. Those who once seemed distant, advocates, activists, even titans of industry, were quietly watching, each with a personal reason to bring the truth into daylight. Your courage will not just break a single chain. It will detonate a network-wide reckoning with justice. When the world has been waiting for a catalyst, you become the lightning rod that unites every hidden effort into one undeniable revelation. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the Super Thank You button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom. For you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Right now, conditions are perfect. The news cycle craves substance. Society is ready to face its shadows, and the balance of power has never been so unstable for those built on lies. Every advantage your enemy used to rise, connections, influence, image, now becomes the very rope that will bring them down. Their greatest accomplishments will be traced back, not to skill, but to the corruption that propped them up at your expense. Promotions, deals, titles, all come to light as the spoils of manipulation and betrayal. Yet, the reason this all falls apart is because those who once protected the secret saw what was coming. The records were kept, not for revenge, but for survival and justice. In a final twist, the very strength they feared in you is the one they unwittingly created. While they hoped to see you falter, you are gathering not only proof, but allies and momentum. Respect, trust, and resilience grew in you, while suspicion and fear took root in them. The tables have turned, and even before the world sees it, they sense it. The ground shifting, the narrative slipping away, the consequences closing in. The force they always underestimated, the one they tried to suppress, has become the reckoning they cannot avoid. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. You're standing at the edge of a tidal shift, where one spoken truth can bring down a fortress built on secrets. When you choose to break your silence, it's as if the signal fires are lit across distant mountaintops. One spark sets off a chain reaction. The person who's been keeping the vault of evidence is ready to unlock it. Others who've carried their own pain are stepping out of the shadows. The people tasked with uncovering the rot are set to move. The ones who tell the world's stories are poised with pen in hand, and the keepers of justice are preparing indictments. All it takes is your voice to tip the balance, and suddenly your testimony is the earthquake that cracks open a hidden world. Every story that once seemed isolated now forms a landslide. Each confession, each file, each piece of proof, like dominoes, they fall together, and the entire structure that once seemed unshakable begins to disintegrate. When a person's entire identity is constructed on the illusion of invincibility, being unmasked is more than just defeat. It's a collapse from the inside out. The lesson they never learned is this: the ones they tried to destroy are the very ones destiny raises up to break the cycle. Every attempt to erase your story only added more ink to the account of their own undoing. They crafted the opposition that will finally bring their empire down. The strength you possess today is the result of every hardship they tried to use against you, every attempt to silence you, every scheme meant to break you. They molded the very force that now stands unbreakable, and the voice they tried to drown out is the one that now echoes everywhere. Every person harmed by their actions becomes another voice, another account, another link in the chain that binds the truth together. Every hidden injustice is now fuel for a fire that can't be contained. Days spent dodging accountability are now numbered. The individual who has kept records and watched from within has waited for the exact alignment of circumstances, a climate ripe for revelation, an audience ready for the truth, and a leader ready to speak. The release of their evidence will not just topple careers and shatter images. It will scatter those who once crowded around power, leaving the architect of corruption isolated and exposed. Loyalty bought with secrets turns to dust the moment the light floods in, and all those who once supported them scramble to cut ties and claim innocence. You're not just exposing wrongdoing, you're unraveling a network that stretches across borders, industries, and years. What begins as a single confession unspools into a complete reordering of the world they thought they controlled. One strand pulled, and the tapestry falls apart, piece by piece. Somewhere, far from the noise and the headlines, there are others on a parallel path. People forged by fire. Those who lost their way in the dark, but carried back the map. Gatherings of souls who refuse to let pain be the end of their story. Who share their wisdom in quiet circles. Who offer each other strength. In these places, your courage is not just an event. It's a living current that others can draw from whenever they feel alone. The field of transformation grows with every voice, every awakening, every act of bravery. The impact of your truth cannot be measured by headlines alone. It spreads into unexpected places, inspiring others to rise, giving investigators the evidence they lacked, emboldening journalists to go on record, and opening doors for voices that once trembled in fear. You don't just spark a conversation, you start a revolution in the culture of silence. The collapse of your adversary will not be hidden in a back room. Every moment, every consequence, every revelation will play out on the world's stage. Their achievements will be rewritten as cautionary tales, their name etched as a symbol of corruption's defeat, and your own journey transformed into the standard for justice reclaimed. This is not just personal vindication. It's the start of a global movement, the birth of a new era of accountability, and the answer to prayers uttered by many. Your courage radiates outward, igniting transformation across continents. The tide cannot be stopped. The world is ready for this. There's a certain poetry to the way your adversary's own tools will ultimately dismantle the walls they built around their secrets. Their digital footprint, once thought erased, remains etched across hidden servers and backup drives. Files they believed vanished resurface in places they never expected. The very records they manipulated now serve as a blueprint for their unraveling. But that's not your only force. In the background, others who have been quietly enduring their own suffering at the hands of the same darkness are about to awaken. Your story will be the beacon that draws them together, forging new alliances among those who once believed they were fighting alone. As your truth emerges, these silent witnesses recognize their own struggles in your journey, and together, your voices build an unbreakable chorus. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. What they never understood is that arrogance always breeds carelessness. Their own ego has led them to confess, brag, and strategize in moments they thought were unobserved. Every careless word, every trace left behind, accumulates into a mountain of evidence, so solid that even those tasked with defending them will have no choice but to surrender. The very act of trying to erase the past ensured its permanence, and now the world is about to see what lies beneath the mask. The result is a reckoning so complete that there will be no refuge. Not only does your revelation tear away their facade in the eyes of their supporters, but it also annihilates any remaining alliances. The shockwaves ripple through their social circles, their business connections, and their political entanglements. Statements of separation flood in as even their closest associates scramble to save themselves. Their reputation, once their armor, becomes the evidence of their undoing. There's nowhere to hide when your mask is removed in the public square, and the sting of humiliation will cut deeper than any legal judgment. The world is ripe for this moment. Everywhere, people hunger for real justice and genuine stories. Your courage answers a call that's been building beneath the surface, a hunger for truth that will ripple through every corner of the community. Victims once silenced will see your example and reclaim their own voices. Witnesses, once cowed by intimidation, will find new resolve to stand up. You've become the touchstone for all who long for accountability and the proof that integrity can topple even the highest walls of corruption. Your adversary believed they could dictate every narrative, silence every whistle, and control every outcome. What they never foresaw is that truth cannot be contained. It seeks its own champions and instruments, and when the moment is right, it bursts forth in ways no power can stop. You are that vessel, the living answer to a prayer for justice, the example of karma in action, the proof that the scales can and do tip. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. The person who set out to ruin you never realized that pressure forges diamonds. Each betrayal and attack only sharpened your focus and your resolve. Instead of breaking, you became a force no obstacle could stop. Their error was thinking you would be the final chapter in their reign. Instead, you are the beginning of the end. The pattern of abuse, intimidation, and cover-ups is about to be exposed with evidence from every angle. Witnesses, documents, recordings, transactions, and timelines. What comes to light will not be dismissed as a string of mistakes, but as a systematic pattern that can no longer be ignored. This is not simply your moment of vindication. It's the long-awaited revelation that transforms the landscape for everyone watching. The world will see not just what happened to you, but how power truly operates when left unchecked. You're showing that when truth is spoken with conviction, the old order cannot withstand the storm that follows. No fortress built on manipulation and intimidation can withstand the light of exposure when it finally arrives. The very tactics that kept so many under control, threats, bargains, whispered promises, now stand poised to undo all their efforts. Those who once acted as the sentinels of this old regime, locked in silence or complicity, begin to see which way the wind is blowing. Fear shifts to relief as the chance for truth appears, and suddenly witnesses emerge from the shadows, each with a testimony that strengthens the tide already in motion. What was once an empire of fear transforms into a stage for justice, and every hand that helped build their illusion becomes another voice ready to tear it down. Their world, once meticulously managed through secrets, is now unraveling with a speed that can't be stopped. and your words are the force that tips the balance. Far from the boundaries of their old dominion, movements are stirring that this individual never imagined possible. There are groups, far-reaching, highly resourced, working quietly for years, that have had their gaze fixed on this unraveling web. These organizations have long prepared for this moment, gathering information, building alliances, and waiting for a leader whose credibility and story could bring it all together. You've become the catalyst that brings their plans to the forefront, turning a personal battle into an international mission for justice. The resources at your disposal are suddenly multiplied beyond imagination, as entire networks rally to expose every hidden thread. This isn't just about the fall of one person, but the collapse of an entire system. Influence that once seemed untouchable is revealed as hollow when faced with global scrutiny. Each partnership and handshake that once cemented their security now becomes a liability. As news travels across borders and through every channel, the pillars supporting their structure begin to vanish. Political ties dissolve, business relationships end, and allies run for cover, each distancing themselves from the storm you've set in motion. The old story of domination shrinks as the world watches in real time. There's a moment in every orchard when the fruit that's been growing quietly all season suddenly drops, heavy with sweetness, and nothing can stop the harvest from coming in. That's what's happening now. What's been quietly ripening inside of you, chosen one, is finally falling into the world with a weight and a power that no hand can halt. For years, maybe even decades, you were the seed planted deep in the soil, unseen and underestimated. But the time of waiting is over. The ground is trembling. The whole garden is waking up to your presence. The change you've set in motion isn't a small ripple, it's a landslide. One honest word from your lips is now rolling through boardrooms, breaking open family secrets, unsettling old alliances, and scattering the shadows that have lingered for far too long. This isn't just a legal moment or a moral reckoning. It's a spiritual release, a cleansing rain that washes through every dry place, leaving nothing untouched. Old systems built on silence and secrecy are finding their foundations cracked and their hidden rooms flooded with daylight. What was once overlooked is now impossible to ignore. Those who profited by hiding in darkness are suddenly exposed. Think of it like a house where all the lights come on at once. Every cobweb, every forgotten corner, every locked drawer is now visible to all. The networks that once operated quietly in the background, profiting from pain and confusion, can no longer operate unseen. The doors have been thrown open, and the people who stood in the shadows, enablers who justified wrong for their own comfort, find themselves under a spotlight they never imagined would shine their way. Every small compromise, every "that's not my problem," is being brought out and measured for what it truly is. But this isn't just about pointing fingers or handing out blame. No, this is about restoration. When a field is burned, it doesn't just reveal what was hidden in the grass, it prepares the ground for new growth. The exposure of darkness makes way for healing, for justice, for a fresh start. In the kingdom, nothing is wasted, not even the suffering you endured. What tried to choke out your purpose has actually cleared a path for you to flourish. Those who once counted on your silence are now watching you blossom where they never expected anything would grow. The courage you showed by stepping forward has become a beacon, a lighthouse for others who were lost in their own storms. There are men and women, young and old, who are hearing your story and realizing that maybe, just maybe, their story matters too. You've turned what was meant for harm into a sanctuary for others, a place where wounds are named and finally begin to heal. Your bravery has exposed the machinery that kept so many locked in quiet suffering. And now, the gears have ground to a halt. The old pattern cannot continue because you broke it. Yes, you did, by telling the truth and refusing to hide. You may feel the weight of it now, the attention, the judgment, the questions. It can feel overwhelming, like standing in the middle of a field with every eye on you. But remember, the spotlight isn't just for you. It's a signal that the season has changed. Just as the harvest doesn't come from one tree, but from the whole orchard, what you've started is going to spread far beyond your own story. Those who once sat in silence, those who believed justice was not for them, are now standing up, dusting off their dreams and adding their voices to the call. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide your path. Those who benefited from schemes and shortcuts are being asked to return what never belonged to them. Every decision made in secret is coming to light. What you set in motion is not just about exposing the wrong, it's about restoring what was stolen, healing what was broken, and lifting up those who were pressed down. That's real kingdom justice. That's the divine turnaround nobody saw coming. Let them examine every detail. Let them ask their questions and sort through their records. You have nothing to fear when your roots go deep and your fruit is good. Every time someone tries to twist your story or discredit your name, they only highlight the strength it took to come this far. Every attempt to diminish your testimony only magnifies the faithfulness that carried you. This is your season to stand tall, not in pride, but in the knowledge that what you carried in silence has now become a harvest for many. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. There's a reason the Bible says, "What you do in secret, God will reward openly." The tables are turning. The blessings that were delayed are finding their way to you. The chains that held you back are breaking one by one. The eyes that looked past you before are now looking to you for leadership, for hope, for a new way forward. This isn't the end of your story. It's the launching pad. The impact you're making is just beginning to be felt. As the floodwaters of truth rise, you'll see new alliances form, new opportunities appear, and new doors open wide. Don't be surprised when the ones who once doubted you come seeking your wisdom. Don't be shocked when those who ignored your pain now ask for your prayers. The world is shifting, and you are standing at the center of that shift, not by accident, but by design. The illusion of invulnerability evaporates as reality sinks in. Living within their self-made bubble, insulated from consequences, the one who wielded fear now tastes it for the first time. Their confidants kept records. Their supposed private words were never secret, and their actions left a trail impossible to erase. The moment denial gives way to panic, is unmistakable. Every failed cover-up, every clumsy attempt to threaten or bargain becomes a signal that their end is near. Their name, once a symbol of force, transforms into a warning for generations about the cost of unchecked power. This is a lesson that will echo across boardrooms and classrooms, political circles, and dinner tables. The story won't be one of temporary victory, but of transformation, where courage and clarity outshine corruption, and where the example of one person reverberates outward, becoming a blueprint for real change. When the final piece clicks into place, there is no turning back. The facade is gone, replaced by a new reality built on truth and conviction. The journey that began with surviving injustice ends with rewriting the future for all who witness your rise. The reckoning is not a distant threat. It is the new reality unfolding now, and you are the ones standing in the center, unafraid.